Good afternoon and welcome to the Jerry Ratcliffe Show. We appreciate all you guys tuning in to all of our podcast platforms. You can find us anywhere that you can find your favorite podcast and on YouTube. So thanks for joining in. It's my privilege today to welcome someone I've known for a long, long time and have the ultimate respect for him and not just as a great athlete, but just a great person and a wonderful human being. And it's my pleasure to introduce Ronde Barber, former Virginia Cavalier All-American and Pro Bowl player, outstanding record setter with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and will become one of the newest members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton in a couple of weekends from now. And I know Wahoo Nation is all excited about that, and I'm sure Tampa Bay Nation is too, and everybody in the state of Virginia, particularly down in Roanoke, where he went to school at Cave Spring High School.
Yep.
With his twin brother Tiki that everybody loves as well. Ronde, thank you so much for taking some time out today.
Well, Jerry, thanks for having me. It's been a busy couple months, so finding time this close to is probably the best time. About a month and a half ago, you would have never gotten a hold of me, but yeah, now I've got a couple of weeks to kind of touch up all the details and get ready to go. I'm excited. I'm ready.
You should be.
I'm definitely ready. We're
It
joking.
doesn't happen to many people.
Right. Yeah. 371 of us after this class goes in. And we were joking before we came on. My wife is a godsend. She has handled every single aspect of this process except for writing my speech, which obviously had to do myself. But it's tedious. They ask a lot of you. But I think at the end, it'll be all worth it. It'll be so worth it.
We're talking about your charming wife, Claudia, and
Mhm.
I know we were talking a little bit off air. She was an event planner, and so yeah, nobody's more organized than she is.
Yeah, I think this takes her back to a time when she was getting paid for this. So I think she's getting paid in love from me and appreciation from everybody that's having to deal with this as well. We have 420 guests coming, so
Wow.
you can imagine what the logistics. I won't say a headache because I think it's been a labor of love, but the logistics aspect requires, and she's handling it with pretty much ease. So it's I think, but that being said, I think she's ready for it to be done and over with too at this point.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, getting 420 people in anywhere at the same time is an incredible task, that's for sure. Um, I, I saw the video the other day on Twitter of you receiving your package from Canton that and you and your dog opened it. And it was your golden Hall of Fame jacket. What was that moment like for you, opening that package and seeing that sport coat?
Well, I will say this. I knew it was coming. It had been sitting at the front door for about 2 days, and we just hadn't taken the time to open it. We've been traveling so much during the summer and a lot of obligations here and there. So the Hall of Fame told us that they wanted us to record us open it, so obviously they could post it on their social and we could like it and follow it, whatnot. So I knew it was there, and it's not as if I hadn't been fit for it during Super Bowl week. They have what they call Sizing Saturday during that weekend of the Super Bowl, and so that Saturday you get sized for your ring, you get your initial measurements for your bust. There's a couple of you get measures for some shirts, and then they obviously do the most recognizable aspect of that is sizing you for your jacket. So I knew it was in there. So when I opened it, it's still a little emotional. I mean, obviously it'll be more so on Friday at the Gold Jacket dinner when it's presented to me officially. But yeah, it was. I texted my friends, my three closest friends, Brian, Ben, and Paul, and I was like, dude, this just got real, because it's there. It's just real. One little caveat, though. I don't know if I should tell you this or not, but they put a little patch on the inside that has your name and your your number, you're forever now known as a number in the Hall of Fame. I'm 363. Well, my patch said 362. So we had to send that back for them to redo, but we know that it's taken care of, and I won't see it again until Friday the 5th or the
Wow.
4th. I'm sorry, Friday the 4th of August.
Yeah, that's awesome. What does this mean to you? I mean, you said after this class, there's only 371 players in history to make it into Canton. I mean, think about all the thousands of guys that have played in the NFL, and you'll be joining people that you grew up
Right.
admiring, and some of the guys that you played against. What does this mean to you to
Yeah.
finally make it into that sacred place?
Yeah, I think it's impossible to say exactly what it means. I mean, I'll try in my speech, but it won't really capture what it is because, Jay, I've been saying this to a lot of people. You don't set out to be a Hall of Famer. Anybody that does, it's like a fool's errand. You just don't know how your career is going to turn out, and how it'll be judged in the long run. And then once it comes to being judged, it's still a selection process. It's still a selection process of sorts. So you don't plan to be this. I didn't plan to be this. But I do recognize the legends of the game that I'm joining. And you mentioned it. There's upwards of 20,000 to 30,000 players that have played professional football over the course of what are we now, 70 something years. And to be in that select group, I mean, it's special. There's no other way to say it. I mean, you are special when you join that class. And I'm not saying I'm any better or any worse than any player that ever played, but I know what I did during my career. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't think it was worthy of a place. There's things that I did in my career that nobody has ever done, probably won't ever do again. The game has changed even since I played, and there's a uniqueness about it and an uncommonness about what I was able to accomplish as a player. And I'm glad that it's recognized. My wait wasn't that long. It feels like it forever because I had some unique stats or whatnot, but 6 years is not that long a wait of eligibility. But I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to give my speech and let people know what it means to me.
Yeah, for those unaware of some of Ronde's feats in his 16 career as a cornerback with Tampa Bay, 1997 to 2012. NFL record 224 consecutive starts, which is, I don't know that that'll ever be broken.
I don't know how I did that, to be honest with you.
47 interceptions, 28 sacks, the only player in NFL history to do that. I mean, that's incredible in itself. I was NFL Defensive Player of the Week 9 times, joining people like Lawrence Taylor, Bruce Smith, and Ray Lewis. I think there was one other, and that's the only guys that have ever done that. Um, First team All Pro 2001, 2004, 2005, second team 2002, 2006, 5-time Pro Bowl, NFL interceptions co-leader in 2001, NFL 2000s All Decade Team, Tampa Bay Ring of Honor. We could go on and on. You essentially redefined, Ronde, how your position was played on the pro level, just with your versatility. I mean, those are staggering statistics
Right.
and mentions if you just stop and think about all that.
I think that's what sets me apart. And I think that was Ira Kaufman, my voter, here in Tampa. That's been his play all along. Obviously, you play on a defense with a bunch of Hall of Famers, and I've got three other ones that went in ahead of me. You get somewhat left in the shadows a little bit. But I think those guys understood what I was doing, especially for our defense. A lot of that credit goes to our coaches, man. Monty Kiffin, who will get a big mention in my speech. I mean, he really transformed a position and let me own it and let me do what I wanted to do. And obviously, there's a schematics to what we were doing on defense, but there was a large part of that I kind of created on the run. Week to week or even season to season, things that we adapted to better fit my playing style, and it became a standard. And then the standard became the expectation of the position, and so there was a lot that we did in Tampa. I won't just say me, but we did in Tampa that really kind of dictated the way that position, that nickel position, was played over the years. And one of the things that used to bother me all the time is that people assume that that's all I did. If they didn't watch Tampa football, they assumed that all I was a nickel cornerback. But for 15 of my 16 years, I was I started outside corner. I mean, that's different now. I don't know if I could do that in the NFL now. These guys are 6'1" and up,
Right. Right.
playing corner in the NFL. But I was very adept at doing a lot of things, and it gave me a lot of leeway in our system to go make plays and put up those unique numbers that you just mentioned, and to be able to do it and not get hurt in 15 years, because I didn't play my rookie year, so I'll just say 15 years. It's pretty amazing. A lot of credit to some people that I work with, some other modalities that I used during my career, but I'm fortunate. I mean, I'm blessed. There's no doubt about it, to be able to play as long as I did and not miss a game, and be able to accumulate, the type of stats and accolades that I did. So I tell you what, it was a hell of a run. It was fun. I had a good time doing it.
And you can still walk.
Oh yeah, mostly well.
A lot of guys have played 16 years have trouble doing that. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
the science is better now than it was back in the early parts of NFL.
Well, perhaps your greatest interception, and some people have written that it was the greatest scoring play in Tampa Bay history, was in the 2002 Super Bowl year in the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, when you picked off Donovan McNabb and went 92 yards for a touchdown that sealed the victory. I bet you can still see that in your sleep.
Yeah, that's it was such a reaction play though, Jerry. It's not like I ever planned for that to happen. It's just like Hall of Fame. You don't plan for it to happen. You just kind of do your job, and if an opportunity presents itself and you're able to make a play, you make it. That's all that play was. I mean, granted, that entire game was a really, really good game for me. The interception was definitely an icing on the cake type of feeling, especially being in Philly. Obviously Tiki had his battles with Philly for years in the NFC East, but we had lost to him so many times in a row in the playoffs. We had lost to him earlier that year. I think it was either week 2 or 3 of the season that year. And it was a moment. And I think our theme song that year was a song by Eminem, and it talks about capturing the moment. And that's all that was. I captured a moment, and somebody had to make a play in that situation. And fortunately, the opportunity came to me, and I made it. But I will relish forever being able to rub that in Philly fans' face. The Eagles are God, they could be brutal. They're passionate, and I love them for it. But they, to this day, there's a lot of them that think that I ruined their childhoods, and
You're the boogeyman.
right. I'm like, I was just doing my job. I'm sorry. But it's definitely part of my lore here and there, and it's nice to embrace it now.
And while you're going into Canton for all your deeds in the NFL, you certainly had an incredible career at Virginia. If they had a Hall of Fame, you'd definitely be in it. 1993 to 1996. And you were ACC Rookie of the Year in 1994, and then
Right.
went on and made first team All ACC all 3 seasons you were here. But what did that Rookie of the Year mean to you? Did that kind of inspire you, signal you, to give you the confidence that you're everything that you kind of hoped and dreamed of? And just
That's an interesting. That was an interesting time for me because obviously I was very successful in high school. You knew that.
right.
Very successful track athlete. Everything that I did up until that point, I had been really successful at. But you won't remember this, or most people probably won't remember this either. But we went to high school in 10th grade at Cave Spring. Eighth and ninth, 7th, 8th, and 9th was still junior high. And so we went to high school in 10th grade, and I wasn't playing my sophomore year, that 10th grade year. And there's a guy ahead of me. His name was Todd Dowdy. He was also a twin. He had a brother named Baker. He was starting at safety and he got hurt. I think it was like week 3 or 4, and I got an opportunity to play. And from then on, I owned that position. I played free safety all 3 years in high school, and I was all state, all Timesland, all those other things. It kind of mirrored my start at Virginia. So I was prepared for kind of the disappointment of my first year in 1993, my first year on campus. I was redshirted, and the reality of it was, I can look back on it now and say this, but at the time you couldn't have told me this. But at the time, I was 149 pounds, trying to play college football, and I just wasn't ready. Even though Tiki and Walt both were not redshirted, I got redshirted, so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So, when '94 came along, and I knew that they had plans for me, they had told me pretty much my entire redshirted year in '93 that I was going to be the starting corner in 1994, and so in my mind there was an expectation for me, and I just wanted opportunity. I just wanted to play. I just want to get on the field, and it started quick. My very first game was at Florida State. We played Florida State twice in a row at Florida State, because we played there my first year and my second year. At Florida State, Danny Cannell threw me an interception early in the game, and I was like, wow, this is easy. Of course it wasn't. I mean, they went on and trounced us, but I had success early. I had a taste of success early in that entire season, including the Clemson game, where I had an interception at the end that set up the winning field goal, and we beat Clemson for the first time in who knows how long. It just kind of set me on my path. My ability to find success when given the opportunity kind of really is like a microcosm of my entire career: college, high school, college, and pro. And that year was a great year for me. I knew that having that early success let me know that I was in the right space. Because I remember my first year, Jerry, nobody will ever hear me say this very often, but I remember walking out locker room my first year at Virginia and saying, I don't know if I can play with these guys. They're bigger, they're faster, they just look different than the kids at K-Spring looked. So I needed to be sure that I was who I thought I was, and having early success set that up for me.
Was the interception against Cannell, was that sort of your defining moment that proved to you that, hey, I can play at this level?
Yeah, it was. And it wasn't anything special. I mean, we were an off coverage team. We were playing thirds. They were running a curl right in front of me. I'd read the split of the receiver, read the number 2 route of the second guy, and I just jumped it, and it was an easy interception. It really became kind of my MO, as just knowing what teams were going to do. I mean, it's really kind of, I'll give Art Marcos credit for that. We studied a lot of film and studied tendencies, and it's really carried me over my entire career. I mean, I made a lot of plays look easy in college and pros by knowing what they were going to do. And so that preparation set me up for my success. And ironically, Jerry, the first person to throw me an interception in the NFL was also Danny Cannell. When he was playing for the Giants. So I think I owe him a little bit of credit for where I got in my football life.
He probably, when he sees you coming, he probably goes the other way.
We joke about it all the time, every time I see him.
Those were special times, obviously, playing for some of George Welsh's best teams at Virginia, and
right,
setting you up for greatness. Art Marcos, by the way, you gave him a mention. I don't think Artie gets a lot of credit when people look back at that era, but he was a really good secondary coach.
He really was, and he coached some really good players, man. Like me, obviously Anthony Poindexter. There was another corner / safety to play for New England. I'm trying to Harris, Percy Ellsworth. I mean, he has more than a few guys that ended up playing professional football. And he was just a detail oriented guy. I mean, he gets to mention my Hall of Fame speech. I mean, he taught me the details of the game, or how to study the details of the game. Obviously, I grew on that when I got to the NFL because we were very simple in college. We played three coverages, and they were named orange, green, and blue. I can't remember what they mean now, but
It's a long time.
that's all I remember.
Yeah.
Is that we were a color scheme defense, and but I learned a lot under him. Really learned how to prepare, and it helped me my entire career.
How long did it take you to write your speech? I mean, you get what, like 15 minutes up there?
Oh God, they want us to be like 8 to 12. I think they really kind of pushed it to like 10 to 12. I'll be right on that. I'll be right on that number. It's harder than you think to get the entirety of your career and say what you want to say in that short period of time, especially when you consider, like we were talking about earlier, trying to capture the moment and not get too absorbed in the moment. There's I don't know how many thousands of people are at the Hall of Fame every year, but I've been to a handful of them with all my teammates and Coach Dungy getting in. And it can be emotional. Obviously, the stage is big, and it's your one final time. I mean, there's nowhere else to go, right? This is football
All eyes
heaven.
are on you.
All right, there's nothing else to accomplish in professional football than getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And so, that 10, 12 minutes, I mean, I can guarantee it's going to go by like that. It'll be a snap. But for me, it took about a month. And it was write and then rewrite. And then I met with a now a friend that helped me kind of pare it down and get my context right to match the content, and then just tweaking it here and there. But it was a process, but it's done. It's been done for a while now.
And as far as your bust, how do they do that? Do you go up and pose for something, or how does that work?
Yeah, so this guy's name is Blair Buswell. He's been doing bust since 80s, early 80s. I think 83 was his first year doing it. He
Man.
lives out in Utah. So I'd never been to Utah. I guess I've been in the airport, but it was my first time visiting Utah. Flew into Salt Lake. He lives about, oh God, I don't know, 30 miles south Salt Lake. So we go down there. We get there. He has this bust that vaguely looks like a barber. It's some sort of family resemblance. And we sit down and we spent 2 days, and he's a master at his craft. He makes it look so easy. He's sculpting, he's putting clay back on, he's sculpting. And after half a day, you're like, what are you even doing here? But it just starts to take shape. He's an artist. This guy Blair, he actually played football at BYU. He was there when Andy Reid was at BYU. And I was like, and he was on scholarship as an art major. I was like, you're probably the only art major football player in history. But he's very, very good at what he does. And after 2 days, it looked like me. He even had the facial hair to represent me and not make me look like Tiki. So it was it was really good.
Tiki probably will point that out too.
Oh, sure he should.
Before we let you go, just update us on what you're doing now, and a little bit about your family, your daughters. I hope I pronounced this right. Yamil.
Yep.
And Justin.
Yep, exactly right. Yeah, so they're both we're empty nested. We've been empty nested for 2 years, going on 3 years. Our oldest, Yamil, is at University of Chicago. She's studying media arts and design and creative writing. She's doing a lot in like the computer science realm of production of TV and video games, and she's smarter than all of us. She went she went to one of the toughest schools to get in the country, and it's the only school she applied to. So she's doing well. Justice, of course, is in Virginia at William and Mary playing lacrosse. This will be her third year coming up. I have big expectations for her, and so does she. She's in the business school at William and Mary. She's actually this week she's got an internship starting with the Bucs. She's going to be interning with Mike Greenberg and Jackie in the kind of the business administration, the cap side of football. I was like, this is going to make her want to go to law school, I think, or at least we hope. But they're both doing well. But we spend a lot of our time going to see them. But otherwise, I stay busy in football realm. Have a lot of content that I create for the Bucs. Tiki and I have a podcast on betting, Superbook Sports, betting with the Barbers. And then I do some other content with this group called 33rd Team, which is Mike Tannenbaum, used to be a GM in the league, and that keeps me busy. But my day to day really is what's over my right shoulder, the Valspar,
Yeah, I see
Valspar
that on.
Championship. I'm general chair. I've been general chair now for 3 years of that tournament. So I basically run a charity. I'm in charge of a sponsorship board, and we go out and chase the dollars that help fund our tournament and put money back in this community. It's been one of the more rewarding things I've done here in Tampa. Obviously, I've been involved in charity work for decades now here, but this touches more people than any. And being in charge and stewarding that organization has been really, really fun. Been a challenge at times, especially during COVID, putting on a big event. But the reality is we give $1 million, $2 million to charity every single year, and put on a heck of an event in the process. And it's been fun. It's been a real good time.
That's great. And you've become a pretty good golfer yourself, right?
Yeah, most times. golf's one of those golf's one of those finicky things. Like I hate not being good at something, and I'm sometimes good at it and sometimes bad. I'd be like, my golf game was like my football game, they would have cut me like after my third year.
Well, like most of us.
Right. Flashes of greatness, but so inconsistent that you can't be reliable.
Wow. Well, listen, I know you got a lot of things to do. You're a busy man in demand right now. I appreciate you taking part of your day to speak with us. And again, congratulations on well-deserved honor. We're all proud of you, and we'll all be watching on the 8th when you're inducted into Canton, where you should be. We knew it was coming, just a matter of when it was coming.
Thank you, Jerry. This is it's going to be fun. All 420 people there will enjoy it, but I know there's many thousands more in Roanoke, here in Tampa, obviously, parts of Virginia that grew up watching me play. That I'll be speaking to them as well, and I'll be real excited to represent where I'm from. So thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that.
Great, thank you.